Welcome to the Week 13 newsletter for the Abernathy Fantasy Football League. I'm your host and your commissioner. All right, it's nut cutting time. Playoffs are right around the corner, and there's 10 of the 12 teams could still make the playoffs or have a potential chance for it. We'll take a quick look at the current standings, projected playoff seedings as they stand today. We'll also take a look at the last 2 weeks of the schedule and the implications of the outcomes of those, as well as how it's going to impact the overall playoff outlook. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, so anybody can take a look at the current projected playoff seedings by going to Reports, League, and Projected Playoff Seedings. This will bring up the page when it shows the current standings if they were happening to right now today. It has Matt's Patriots in top place, Chuck's Lightning Storm second, Diva Daughters in third. So the three division winners get the top three seeds, and then the next three best teams get the next three playoff seeds. So that means even though I may have 1,748 points more than anybody else in the league, if I don't have a better record, Thomas could beat me out for that last spot, and I wouldn't make the playoffs. I think we're going to change that for next year, but for right now, this is the way it's going to remain. You have the top three seeds I already went over. The other three seeds are Lee's Cowboys, Brent's Gaston's Taverns, and of course me rounding out to number 6. But close behind, Thomas's Shaps, Scott's Steel Panthers, Alan Solis Gingers, and even a puncher's chance, Nick's Electric Eagles. It's going to take a lot, but yeah, technically I guess he's still in it. All right, let's take a look at the next couple of week matchups and how that impacts the overall race. All right, let's take a quick look at the standings and see how the playoff seedings are impacted by it. In the oil division, you see Matt's Patriots at the top at 11-2 and Lee's Cowboys at 9-4. So Matt hasn't quite clinched the division title yet, but a win either week will do that for him. And even though he hadn't clinched the division title, he has clinched the playoff spot as well as Lee. So I'll show you in the standings here in a second how that is. Brent Gaston's Tavern is just a couple. It's one game behind Lee and 30 games behind Matt, so he can't actually win the division, but he's definitely in the middle of the playoff hunt. Kyle's Passport is Taco is outside. He's going to be spending the playoffs at home. But the top three teams in the oil division are in the playoffs or most likely going to make it. In your cotton division here, you have Lance's Diva Daughter sitting at the top and Scott Steel Panthers just one game behind him, and Nick's Electric Eagles just one game behind that. So top three teams in this division are also in the hunt for the playoff spot. Each one of them could win the division. If they don't, the division winner will get in the playoffs. The ones who don't win the division probably won't make the playoffs. It's possible they could, but most likely they won't. Chris's Lopes, they're done for the season. They're going to be watching from the house. Playing spoiler for the rest of this season anyway. But three of the four teams in the division are looking at a playoff spot or have a fight for a playoff spot. In the cattle division, we've got Chuck's Lightning Storm at 8-5 with my Twin Terror just one game behind, and Thomas's Chaps as well as Alan Solis Gingers just one game behind that. So all four teams are in the hunt for a playoff spot. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a brutal battle, but that's where we're sitting. So right now, any of the four teams could win the division. It is possible that division winner, whoever doesn't win the division, there's one or two teams that could still make the playoffs, but the division winner is definitely going to have to, will have a spot. As it stands right now, we looked at earlier, we have the three teams in the oil division making the playoffs, Lance from the cotton, and then two teams from the cattle division, Chuck and myself, with the Chefs and Solis Gingers barely not making it. So it's going to be a fight. All right, here in week 14, we're going to start off with matchups with Chuck's Lightning Storm and Lee's Cowboys. Both teams have a pretty solid hold on the playoffs. It's possible that Chuck may not make it, but he would have to have, of course, consecutive losses and the right amount of other teams winning for him not to make it. I believe the Cowboys are pretty much in it with a 9-4 record. I don't think they can be knocked out anymore. They clinch a spot, same as, but we'll go through it. It shows right now that the Cowboys have 116.67 projected points, and Chuck's Lightning Storm 95.57. That helps me out if that does turn out to be the case, but I don't. We'll see what happens when Chuck sets the lineup. Next game this coming week is my Twin Terror against Matt's Patriots. Of course, Matt's already clinched a playoff spot. Hadn't quite clinched the division title yet, but I believe win this week or next week would do that for him. Right now, it's got me projected a little ahead at 133 versus 119, but I really need this win, and I'll show you why in the standings. Password is Taco. Kyle's password is Taco, and Lance's Diva Daughters. Now, so password is Taco. Kyle, I'm sorry to say, you're not going to make the playoffs. Sure, it's not a surprise to you or anybody else, but you could impact the Diva Daughters to some degree. They have a 7-6 record. They're in good shape, but they can't afford too many losses the last couple of weeks here. It's got a projection right here. Diva Daughters 105 and Password Taco at 94. So I feel like Lance has probably got a pretty good handle on the situation. All right, then we have Alan Soulless Gingers and Scott Steele Panthers. Both of these teams are in thick of a playoff position. They're not in, but they do have the opportunity to get into the playoffs with a couple of wins on each of them. The matchup right now shows Steel Panthers at 118.91 and Soulless Gingers at 85.52. Again, this is another matchup that I feel I would be happy if this is the way it turns out. Anytime my division league mates can take a loss and I can hopefully get a win, that helps. Even if I take a loss, if they take a loss, I'm still not in too bad a shape. All right, so Brent Gaston's Tavern, who's got a playoff position pretty much wrapped up, and Chris's Los. I have to say that they're not going to make a playoff position this year. He's playing for honor right now. It's going to be a tight game, though, here, according to the projections. You got Brent's Gaston's Tavern 117.82 and the Los at 112.51. So it could be a good game. Chris has played a lot of close games. He's just come out on the wrong end of them this year. All right, so we had the Chaps, Thomas the Chaps, who is in the playoff hunt, and Nick's Electric Eagles, who mathematically could still make it, but everything would have to fall perfect. I think they have like one shot in 1,000 or something like that. And there would have to be a lot of scoring too. So it's unlikely. They're not necessarily eliminated, but it's all but done. But the projections here, it shows the Electric Eagles at a 111.49. Thomas hadn't put in a lineup yet, but showing a 96.03 projection. So this one, once he sets his lineup, it could go either way. Okay, it's not too early to start looking at week 15, the rivalry week. And this one could mean a lot to several teams. For example, I get to face Thomas that last week, week 15. And right as the playoff seeding stand right now, there's not a whole lot separating him from the playoffs and me from not making the playoffs. So this could be a game that would determine one of us going to the playoffs and one of us not. Diva Daughters and Electric Eagles. Diva Daughters may have a lot to play for in this game, whereas Electric Eagles may be playing spoiler, or it could be everything to them as well. So it'll be an interesting game to see what happens, but we won't know as much until after the Week 14 games conclude. All right, Patriots and Password Taco. This is the meaningless game of Week 15. There is no, Patriots got a playoff spot clinched, so losing is not going to matter. Password Taco isn't going to make the playoffs, so winning doesn't matter. either way it goes, winning or losing doesn't matter. So that one's a meaningless game. Chutch Lightning Storm and Soulish Gingers. These two guys are both in the playoff hunt as it stands right now. Now it could change for Soulish Gingers before then, depending on what happens this week, this upcoming week. But Chuck would still be having a puncher's chance, even if he lost this upcoming week. He'd still have a puncher's chance on the week 15 with this matchup. I wouldn't want to bet on it, but it could happen. All right, so Lopes and Steel Panthers here. Steel Panthers probably have a lot to play for, whereas Lopes playing the spoiler route. And then we have Cowboys and Gaston's Tavern. If y'all aren't aware, this one could be a little bit of a grudge match between these two. And right now, the projected spread on only going to be a 3-point difference on the potential points. So this could be a hell of a game. And it will definitely have an impact on the overall playoff seeding. So definitely a good game to watch week 15. There's going to be a couple of good ones. All right, well, that's the report for the playoffs as it stands in going into week 14. Good luck to everybody, but not too much luck. Peace.